Hello guys, welcome back to the Movie Recaps channel, and welcome to the plot of Black Myth, Wukong. Exactly 4 years after its initial announcement, Black Myth, Wukong has finally been officially released on August 20th, 2022. The game is available for PS5 and PC, while the Xbox Series version will follow later. As the title suggests, the story in this game is closely related to Sun Wukong. However, don't be mistaken. While most of us know Sun Wukong from Journey to the West, this game will not retell that journey. So without further ado, let's dive into the story of Black Myth, Wukong. Black Myth, Wukong is set after Sun Wukong's journey to the West, where he accompanied a monk named Tang Senzang in search of sacred scriptures. Due to his strength and dedication during that long journey, Sun Wukong ascended to the level of a Buddha. More specifically, he was granted the title Buddha of Victorious Battle. However, this position required him to live in the heavenly court and follow its strict rules. Sun Wukong disliked this life, so he rejected it and chose instead to live peacefully in the mountains with his fellow monkeys. Sun Wukong's defiance once again angered the Jade Emperor. He then sent a heavenly army, led by Erlang Shen, to exterminate the monkey tribe. The actions of the heavenly army were excessive, enraging Sun Wukong. He then decided to confront them directly. Sun Wukong used his somersault cloud to reach the heavenly army and unleash his full rage. He could still understand the reason for the heavenly court's anger over his defiance. However, what he could not accept was their act of exterminating his kind. At that moment, Erlang Shen stepped forward to challenge Sun Wukong to a duel. He declared that no matter who won, Sun Wukong's homeland would still be destroyed. Erlang Shen's words further intensified the situation. An enraged Sun Wukong swore to destroy the entire heavenly order after killing Erlang Shen. At this point, the battle was inevitable, and an intense duel began. Sun Wukong ignored all of Erlang Shen's attempts to persuade him to return to the heavenly court. Realizing Sun Wukong's immense power, several giant warriors joined Erlang Shen in trying to subdue him. Sun Wukong refused this unfair fight and challenged Erlang Shen to face him one-on-one in the forest. Before the duel began, Sun Wukong transformed into a bird to outmaneuver his opponent. Erlang Shen, who also transformed into a bird, quickly pursued him. However, at the worst possible moment, Sun Wukong felt excruciating pain in his head due to the constriction of his headband. He lost his balance and plummeted from the sky. Erlang Shen took this opportunity to strike him once more, sending Sun Wukong crashing into a mountain. No one knows what happened after that. However, since that event, Sun Wukong has never been seen again. The story of Sun Wukong has ended. Hundreds of years later, an old monkey, whom we will call Old Monkey, tells the legend of Sun Wukong to a group of other monkeys gathered at the peak of Mount Waku. There, a stone is believed to be the resting place of Sun Wukong's soul. It is said that before Sun Wukong was sealed within the stone, he split his power into 6 different relics and scattered them across China. To this day, no one has ever seen those relics. Old Monkey is too old to travel in search of the relics. However, he believes that one among the many monkeys there will be chosen to gather all 6 of Sun Wukong's relics. If all 6 relics are brought to the peak of Mount Huago, Sun Wukong will return. Thus begins the long journey of a nameless monkey, the main protagonist of this game. This monkey is called Destined One. The essence of his journey is to search for Sun Wukong's 6 relics. With an appearance and weapon resembling Sun Wukong, he rushes to his first destination, Black Wind Mountain. It is important to note that throughout his journey, Destined One will face various types of demons trying to kill him. These demons are known as yokai. After defeating several yokai, Destined One encounters an old little man named Tuti Gong, the guardian of Black Wind Mountain. Tuti Gong, or simply referred to as the Keeper, immediately recalls Sun Wukong upon seeing Destined One's appearance. He then points out the path Destined One must take to reach Kuan Yin Temple, a temple that was once burned down but has now been rebuilt. Although the temple has been rebuilt, no one visits it. As the Keeper explains, a loud howl suddenly echoes from the direction of the temple, making him extremely frightened. He quickly leaves, saying that they have not forgotten Destined One, even though he has forgotten this place. The journey to find the first relic in Black Wind Mountain is not easy. When Destined One faces Bolgard, who blocks his path, he is nearly killed, but the Keeper arrives just in time and stops Bolgard's movement using the Immobilize spell. The Keeper grants Destined One the Immobilize spell for free. Using this spell, Destined One successfully defeats Bolgard. In addition to Immobilize, the Keeper also grants a spell that allows Destined One to transform. With these 2 spells and his growing combat skills, Destined One faces all enemies obstructing his quest for the relics. The first yokai that appears is Guangzi, a wolf-like creature wielding a two-pronged fire spear called the Red Tides. Destined One successfully defeats Guangxi and claims the Red Tides, granting him the ability to transform into Guangxi during battle. Continuing his journey, he finally arrives at Kuan Yin Temple, where the loud howl was previously heard. As soon as he enters the temple, he is immediately greeted by a ferocious giant wolf named Ling Sushi. The sacred bell was not a big problem for Destined One. He defeated the giant wolf and followed the path he believed would lead him to the first relic. This path led him to face Kuang Mo. The names Guangxi and Kuang Mo reminded the keeper of a past event, a tragedy that led to the burning of the entire temple. We will discuss this further at the end of Chapter 1. Upon reaching the final area, Destined One had to face a snake demon named White Clan Noble. White Clan Noble was assigned by his superior to guard the area. Defeated in battle, he mentioned the soul of the Elder, who still resided in Black Wind Mountain. White Clan Noble's words became a clue to the secret of Chapter 1. By ringing 3 large bells in 3 different locations, Destined One would be transported to the past, to Kuan Yin Temple. There, he met Elder Jinxi, the elder mentioned by White Clan Noble. Elder Jinxi was delighted to have a visitor at his temple. However, his joy quickly turned to rage when he recognized the scent of Destined One. Elder Jinxi accused Destined One of stealing the Kasaya and immediately attacked, forcing him into battle. After defeating Elder Jinxi, Destined One obtained a fire-resistant cloak that protected him from flames. As he approached the mountain peak, he finally met the ruler of Black Wind Mountain, Black Wind King. Black Wind King claimed to have rebuilt the temple after the Great Fire. Upon his defeat, Black Wind King challenged Destined One to continue their duel at the mountain peak. Keeper then appeared and granted Destined One a new spell called Cloud Step, allowing him to vanish into mist for a short time. Wasting no time, he faced all enemies blocking his path to the summit. Upon reaching the summit, he was greeted by Black Wind King, who now revealed his true form as a giant bear named Black Bear Key. Destined One won the final duel, but Black Bear Key, unwilling to accept defeat, took the relic and attempted to escape to rebuild his power elsewhere. However, unexpectedly, he could not withstand the power contained within the relic. The relic triggered a massive explosion, leaving him powerless. Realizing his total defeat, Black Bear Key apologized to Sun Wukong and Destined One. He admitted that he had done all this under the orders of the Heavenly Court. Destined One finally took the first relic, which turned out to be a fragment of Sun Wukong's eye. Chapter 1 concluded with an animation depicting the incident at Kuan Yin Temple. Let's explore this further. Chapter 1 tells the story of an incident in Journey to the West. It all began with a wolf demon named Guangxi. Since childhood, Guangxi longed to become human. He often disguised himself as a human to play in the city. Unfortunately, no matter how much he tried, his disguise was always uncovered because he did not act like a human. He then pleaded with his master, Ling Suchi, to grant his request to live alongside humans. Upon hearing this, Ling Suchi sought help from his close friend, Blackberry Guai, to turn Guangxi into a monk. Blackberry Guai accepted the request, transformed Guangxi into a monk, and entrusted him to study under a monk named Elder Jinxi. Guangxi's obedience made him one of Elder Jinxi's favorite disciples, which made one of his fellow students, Kuang Mo, jealous. One day, Monk Tang visited Kuan Yin Temple with Sun Wukong. Elder Jinxi, who welcomed them, was fascinated by the Kasaya worn by Monk Tang. So mesmerized, Elder Jinxi became blinded by greed and was tempted to steal Monk Tang's Kasaya. Upon learning this, Guangxi, wanting to repay his master's teachings, planned to steal Monk Tang's Kasaya. Meanwhile, Kuang Mo, disappointed by Elder Jinxi's greed, intended to harm his master and Guangxi. He manipulated Guangxi and Elder Jinxi into setting Monk Tang on fire while he was asleep. As soon as Guangxi set fire to Monk Tang's residence, Kuang Mo spread the flames throughout the temple by summoning strong winds. The entire temple burned down, along with the monks inside. Monk Tang and Sun Wukong survived, while Guangxi fled. Elder Jinxi, consumed by guilt, ended his own life. In the end, Blackberry Guai rebuilt Kuan Yin Temple and deceived the yokai into submitting to him by using a fragment of Wukong's relic, which he placed atop a mountain. Destined One embarked on a long journey to the second location, Yellow Wind Ridge. At the beginning of the chapter, a song was heard, sung by a headless man. The song told the story of Sun Wukong's journey through Yellow Wind Ridge, a land that had turned barren after being ruled by a rat demon. Destined One appeared helpless, with numerous arrows piercing his body. The headless man then removed all the arrows and initiated Destined One's journey to find the second relic. Yellow Wind Ridge was ruled by a rat demon named Yellow Wind Sage. However, before confronting him, Destined One had to face several of his subordinates first. Among them were a father-son duo named Second Red Prince and the King of Lowingson, Stone Vanguard, the leader of the Livingstone Army, and Tiger Vanguard, who was forced to submit to Yellow Wind Sage to spare his life. On one occasion, the Headless Man visited Destined One and granted him a new spell called Pact of Many, which allowed him to duplicate himself. After Destined One successfully defeated Tiger Vanguard, the Headless Man appeared again and bestowed upon him another spell, called Rock Solid, which could turn his body into stone to deflect enemy attacks. After dealing with all of his subordinates, Destined One finally encountered Yellow Wind Sage, who was holding a giant head in his left hand. Once defeated, the giant head slipped from his grasp, revealing that it belonged to the Headless Man. The Headless Man thanked Destined One and introduced himself as Bodyguard Falingzi, a monk responsible for guarding Yellow Wind Ridge, but who had lost his head when Yellow Wind Sage took over. As a token of gratitude, Bodyguard Falingzi handed over Sun Wukong's second relic, which had been stored inside Yellow Wind Sage's head all along. The second relic is the smoldering ear of Sun Wukong. Chapter 2 ends with an animation about a man who rescues a white fox and takes great care of it. However, to his surprise, the next day, he finds that the fox has transformed into a beautiful woman. From that day on, the two develop a romantic relationship. Years pass in happiness, and they have 2 children. Until one day, when the man returns home, he is shocked to find blood spilling out from inside his house. All his family members have been brutally killed, and the perpetrator is his wife, who has transformed into a ferocious fox. The children? Yes. It turns out that the long story of the white fox transforming into a beautiful woman was just part of his nightmare. Nevertheless, the nightmare changes the man's mind. He kills the white fox and uses its skin and fur for warmth. What message does this animation try to convey? Some believe that the story in the animation represents a Buddhist concept about how a single thought can lead a person to make both good and evil choices. After saving the white fox, the man immediately decides to kill it just because of a nightmare he had. But others say that the story of the white fox is an allegory of Sun Wukong's story, where he would never be accepted by Buddha and the heavenly court no matter what he did. At the end of the animation, the narrator talks about how humans and beasts, Buddha and yokai, are born with fundamentally different roots. Nothing can change what has already been determined. After saying this, the narrator also mentions the names Sun Wukong and Ye. In other words, in the case of Sun Wukong, he is just a mortal being. No matter how hard he tries to achieve immortality, or even if he attains the title of Buddha, in the end, the heavenly court will still doubt him. In fact, even after reaching the level of Buddha, Sun Wukong's headband still remains to restrain him. If you have different opinions about Chapter 2's animation, feel free to write them in the comments. Now, let's discuss Yellow Wind Ridge, the location of Chapter 2. In Chapter 2, if we take on a mission from a drunken boar, a new area will become accessible. During the mission, Destined One meets the boar's brother, who tells a story about past events. It is said that Sun Wukong once dueled with Yellow Wind King, the rat demon who had captured Monk Tang at the time. Eventually, with the help of Bodyguard Falingzi, Sun Wukong managed to defeat Yellow Wind King. However, Bodyguard Falingzi decided to let him live. Since then, Yellow Wind King has harbored a grudge against Bodyguard Falingzi. When his power grew stronger, he returned to Yellow Wind Ridge, took Bodyguard Falingzi's head, and hid the relic inside it. He then became the ruler of Yellow Wind Ridge. Fortunately, Destined One managed to defeat him and return Bodyguard Falingzi's head. The third location is the New West. A young monk, let's call him Buddha-Git, turned himself into a statue upon sensing the presence of a yokai nearby. Shortly after, Destined One arrived there. The snowy journey begins, disrupted by a wild monkey that constantly harasses him. Known as Macaque Chief, Destined One immediately chases and defeats him in a duel. This forces Macaque Chief to flee. Shortly after, Destined One is greeted by a red-headed bird with a human face. This creature is the guardian of the New West, also known as the Keeper. After welcoming the arrival of Destined One, he transformed Destined One into a bat so they could fly together until they reached an area called Mirror Keeper, informed that the third relic was stored inside a temple not far from there. This was a valuable opportunity for Destined One to retrieve the relic since the ruler of the area was absent. However, contrary to Keeper's words, as Destined One approached the temple, Buddha Kid appeared and started rambling about Sun Wukong having been there before. He also revealed a small sack he was holding before unexpectedly releasing a white dragon named Kangjin Lung to defeat Destined One. Destined One managed to overpower the dragon in battle. However, unexpectedly, Kang Jinlung's body fell, crashing and shattering the ice floor, instantly dragging Destined One down with it. Losing consciousness, Destined One had a nightmare of being captured by Macaw Chief before eventually waking up inside the prison of Ram Pagoda. Destined One could easily kick the cell door open, but that didn't mean he was free. He was now on the lowest level of the pagoda, requiring him to find an exit at the very top. Worse still, the area was filled with Yao Guai. At certain moments, a loud ringing sound would weaken all creatures inside Ram Pagoda, including Destined One himself. Destined One fought off all enemies in Ram Pagoda while searching for a way up. Eventually, he escaped the prison area and faced Captain Y's voice, the figure behind the loud ringing sound that affected all creatures inside Ram Pagoda. Destined One successfully defeated Captain Y's voice and continued his search for the third relic. He encountered Masa Chief again, who was busy attacking an old man calmly sitting inside a ring of fire. Destined One defeated Maka Chief, who once again fled. Before continuing his journey, the old man granted him the Spellfire, a ring of fire that could heal its user. While sliding down a hill, Destined One saw a dragon demon named Kang Jin Star attempting to manipulate a man into submitting to his master. The man was trapped inside a golden symbol but remained calm, believing Destined One would soon come to rescue him. He then created a loud hum from within the symbol, awakening a giant turtle. It was revealed that they were standing on top of the turtle. Kang Jin Star finally noticed Destined One's presence and was furious to see him still refusing to submit to his master. The two engaged in a fierce battle. Upon losing, Kang Jin Star transformed into a dragon and attempted to escape. Seeing this, Destined One leaped onto the dragon's back, striking it repeatedly before driving his staff into it and steering it into the golden symbol. Kang Jin Star was finally defeated. Meanwhile, the man trapped in the golden symbol turned out to be Zubaje, better known as Patkai. Bajai was a companion of Sun Wukong in the journey to the west. Although his depiction in this game was vastly different from the TV series. While guiding Destined One down from the giant turtle, Bajai revealed that Sun Wukong had once asked him to assist Destined One in finding the relics. For this reason, he was now willing to help Destined One. After descending from the giant turtle that had reached the shore, they fought together against the Yao Guai. When Baji wanted to rest in a pavilion, they instead encountered Buddha Kid. Buddha Kid claimed to be seeing a giant Buddha figure right in front of him. This confused Baji and Destined One because they saw nothing. Upon hearing this, Buddha Kid suggested they pray in front of 4 different Buddha statues in the area. By doing so, the Buddha would open the path to the summit. Baji did not fully trust Buddha Kid's words. Even so, he still accompanied Destined One in searching for and praying before the 4 Buddha statues. After the 4th prayer, they heard a voice from afar. Sure enough, even though Baji still doubted Buddha Kid, the path to the mountain's summit suddenly opened in the form of stairs. Baji went ahead, while Destined One's journey was blocked by a pale-faced man named Non-White, who seemed obsessed with Destined One's face. Non-White believed he would become a hero if he could take Destined One's face. However, Destined One defeated him in 2 different duels. Upon arriving in the forest area, Destined One was able to speak with the spirit of the White Fox, which was featured in the 2nd chapter of the animation. The fox recounted how it was killed by a man who had once saved its life merely because of a dream. That man had now become a monk in a nearby temple. This was merely a side quest, but it revealed that the man had later transformed into a Yao Guai named Non-Void after killing the White Fox, leading to an uneasy existence. After facing numerous Yao Guai guarding the temple area, Destined One opened a large gate and reunited with Buddha Kid. Buddha Kid spoke about Jin Chanzi, also known as Monk Tang, who was his old friend. However, they had different views on humanity. After rambling for a while, the gate suddenly shut by itself, and Buddha Kid transformed into Yellow Bro, a monk obsessed with replacing Siddhartha Gautama as the Buddha. It turned out that the Buddha Kid present there was not the real one, but a disguise of Yellow Bro, the ruler of the New West. In the middle of the battle, Destined One was struck by Yellow Bro's attack, giving him the opportunity to trap Destined One inside a sack. Inside the sack, Destined One saw Baji, who was also trapped inside, engaged in a battle against Macaque Chief. This time, Destined One managed to defeat Macaque Chief. However, at the same time, he suddenly lost his sanity and transformed into a wild monkey resembling Macaque Chief. Seeing this, Yellow Bro immediately pulled Destined One out and let him unleash his fury, exterminating all the Yao Guai that appeared. Yellow Bro claimed that violence was the path to ultimate enlightenment and the only way to ascend to Buddha's level. After slaughtering all the Yao Guai, Destined One faced Yellow Bro once again. Despite Yellow Bro repeatedly transforming into gold and attacking with electricity, Destined One ultimately defeated him. Yellow Bro, overwhelmed, immediately ran out of the temple before ultimately sinking as the ice beneath him shattered. At the same time, the real Budokin appeared, revealing that Yellow Bro had stolen his sack and used the Sun Wukong relic to absorb creatures into it. Budokin then transformed Bajaj's weapon into a fishing tool to retrieve the relic from the icy water. The third relic was Sun Wukong's Nose of Arrogance. The story concludes with an animation about a poor village whose fate drastically changed after they rescued a dying turtle from the sea. As a token of gratitude, the turtle wounded itself and produced diamonds from its body. Additionally, it healed the sick and created a water tornado to bring fish to the village. Witnessing this miracle, the entire village began worshipping and treating the turtle as their god. However, one night, a greedy man suddenly approached the turtle and stabbed it with a knife to take the diamonds inside it. The villagers who saw this were blinded by greed and relentlessly harmed the turtle, even going so far as to burn its body once it stopped producing diamonds. The villagers lived in happiness, but of course, that happiness did not last long. Sometime later, when there were no signs of life left in the village, the turtle, with its battered body, sat by the sea with a friend, Jin Sanze. To Jin Sanze, the turtle stated that it had successfully proven something. This animation tells the past of Yellow Bro. The giant turtle was the previous incarnation of Yellow Bro, while Jin Sanze was the previous incarnation of Monk Tang. Although they were friends, they had differing views on human nature. To the turtle, humans were inherently evil. To prove its point, it descended into the mortal world in the form of a turtle. At first, the villagers treated it kindly, but in the end, they were blinded by greed. Jin Sansa found this experiment unfair, because the turtle had intentionally lured humans into greed by providing them with an easy path to prosperity. He called this a sorrowful way of proving a point. From this, we learn that Yellow Bro enjoys manipulating things to make them appear right. While ruling over the New West, he became obsessed with becoming Buddha and sought to twist Buddhist teachings to fit his own desires. He instilled harmful ideas into mortals by telling them that in order to reach enlightenment, one must commit acts of violence. So, who is Buddha Kid? He is Maitreya, the figure believed to be the future Buddha, succeeding Siddhartha Gautama by descending to Earth to reintroduce the Dharma. Yellow Bro, as a materialistic disciple, was obsessed with becoming the future Buddha. He even disguised himself as his own teacher. Throughout the journey, if we see Buddha Kid holding a sack, it means Yellow Bro is in disguise. Destined One and Bajaj hid inside a chest until they reached their fourth destination, a small village called Lancy. The chest was carried by the subordinates of someone called the Lady, who appeared angry and regretful when looking into a mysterious mirror. Upon emerging from the chest, Bajaj's attention was immediately drawn to a mysterious woman on the rooftop before she vanished without a trace. As Destined One was about to enter a residence, Bajaj altered their appearance to avoid suspicion from the host. However, the woman who greeted them recognized Zubajaj and mentioned his past with the Lady. The woman, who was revealed to be the spider demon known as the Second Sister, then revealed her true form. This situation left Destined One and Baji with no choice but to fight back. They managed to weaken the Second Sister. However, unfortunately, the Second Sister then fired a needle directly at Baji's forehead, instantly blurring his vision. Not stopping there, the Second Sister deliberately provoked the situation by calling Baji, "Your Excellency Admiral," and luring him into a Mara hole. Baji took the bait and entered. Destined One also jumped into the same hole, but he was immediately caught in a web and attacked by a spider. Upon waking up, Destined One found himself in an underground area called Web Hollow. As he explored the area filled with insect-like yokai, he encountered a mysterious woman whom Bajie had previously seen. She was known as the Fourth Sister and had always helped Destined One. During their second encounter, the Fourth Sister attempted to remove a talisman, but ended up harming herself instead. Seeing this, Destined One took the initiative to help remove the talisman. In total, he could remove 4 talismans. After battling the centipede Yukai, Destined One saw a giant hand named Buddha Shritan holding a mirror. As he attempted to take it, Buddha Shritan immediately attacked, forcing Destined One into battle. As Buddha Shritan began to weaken and tried to flee, the Fourth Sister arrived just in time to defeat him. Indirectly, this created a path for Destined One. The Fourth Sister stated that from this point on, they would take separate paths. She then expressed her desire to see the outside world and left. Destined One obtained a mirror called Pasiko and continued his journey. He saw the 5 sisters gathering at their mother's residence, the Lady. One of them had brought Bajie, as per the Lady's request. Inside the cave, Bajie appeared to be under control. The sisters were confused as to why their mother was so obsessed with marrying Bajie, even though he had once destroyed her life. One of them believed that, like the other men the Lady had married, Bajie would only be used as a feast. No matter what, they could not defy their mother's wishes. Shortly after, the lady finally appeared and welcomed Baji with joy. Destined One couldn't just leave Baji. He quickly rushed to the lady's residence. However, to his surprise, he found Baji completely under the lady's influence due to a needle embedded in his forehead. They were forced to duel. Initially, Baji had the upper hand, but he suddenly experienced excruciating pain in his head, before eventually fleeing. Exiting the cave, Destined One reached a vast area where Baji appeared once again. This time, he was engulfed in rage, his power surging. Baji even transformed multiple times during the battle. However, in the end, Destined One defeated him, reverting Baji to his original form. At that moment, the Paseko mirror approached Baji, revealing his true face. You must... Huh? In that instant, Baji was freed from the needle's influence. However, before he could do anything, he was captured by the lady. Seeing this, Destined One did not stand idle. He quickly climbed up to find Baji, who was discussing his past with the lady, at least until the conversation turned into an argument. The lady mentioned how Baji still chose the monkey over her. She even revealed one of her young children. Realizing the situation was escalating, Destined One intervened and challenged the lady, who then transformed into her true form, the Violet Spider. After an intense battle, the lady was defeated and quickly fled. Since she was the holder of the fourth relic, Destined One immediately pursued her. Destined One's footing collapsed, but he was saved by someone, possibly one of the four sisters. He arrived at a place called the Temple of Yellow Flowers, where One could release the fourth talisman, which would only appear if he had previously removed the other three. Upon doing so, a celestial warrior named Supreme Inspector appeared to kill Destined One. In this battle, Supreme Inspector clearly had the upper hand. However, before he could kill Destined One, an immortal being named Granny Mortal arrived to stop him. Granny Mortal stated that Destined One was always blind to what was happening, even though he had reincarnated multiple times. She also revealed that Destined One had given false hope to the women he had turned into golden pills. To ensure that Destined One would not act recklessly, Granny Mortal left the place after handing him a golden pill. The meaning of this golden pill will be further explained at the end of chapter 4. The search for the fourth relic brought Destined One to a vast courtyard, where he saw the lady with her daughters bowing before their master, named Hundred-Eyed Day's Master. Day's Master expressed his disappointment over the lady's failure in her task. As punishment, he absorbed the lady into himself, including the fourth relic. Seeing this, the sisters immediately transformed into spiders to stop Day's Master, who had already changed form. At the same time, Destined One also joined the fight. It didn't take long for Day's Master to defeat the sisters, forcing Destined One into a one-on-one battle. During the battle, Day's Master used his power to further weaken Destined One. However, if players had previously completed the secret world in Chapter 4 by conquering the Dust Field, Destined One could counter Day's Master's power using Weaver's Nadal. In the end, Destined One managed to defeat Day's Master and free the lady. The sisters gathered around their mother with deep sorrow. Before taking her last breath, the lady bid farewell to Jie. Destined One then obtained the fourth relic, the Jealous Tongue of Sun Wukong, and Chapter 4 concluded with an animation narrating the tragic love story of Jie. In the past, Jie was a general named Tian Peng who lived in the heavens. One day, he was captivated by the beauty of the moon goddess, Tian Starlord, and immediately pursued her. During his pursuit, he accidentally bumped into one of the moon goddess's attendants, named Chang'e. The name Chang'e was a special designation for the moon goddess's attendants. They briefly locked eyes before Ji continued his pursuit of Tian Starlord. However, by accident, he witnessed the Heavenly Emperor having a secret affair with Tian Starlord. Not wanting his reputation ruined, the Heavenly Emperor punished Ji by turning him into a mortal and sentencing him to the 1,000 love's punishment, reincarnating 1,000 times, each life ending in heartbreak. This animation depicted one of these instances when Jie fell in love with a woman named Gao Julan. However, he was suddenly cursed into a pig demon, terrifying Gao Julan. Jie could do nothing but leave. He didn't realize that there was a woman who truly loved him, Chang'e. Upon learning about the Heavenly Emperor's punishment on Jie, Chang'e decided to descend to the mortal realm. She reincarnated as a spider demon. One day, when Jubaji saw women bathing in a pond, he transformed into a fish to join them. All women despised him, but not a woman named Chang'e. Chang'e and Baji were in a romantic relationship. They deeply loved each other and even had several children. However, their love was hindered by a punishment. The 1,000 love torments suffered by Baji. In the end, Baji was destined to assist Monk Tang in the journey to the west and chose to live as a devoted Buddha. He left Chang'e. Since Baji left, Chang'e lived with her daughters, hoping that one day she would have the chance to reunite with her true love. Chang'e willingly submitted herself to the Eastmaster's rule to obtain an elixir from Wukong that granted her immortality. With this immortality, she hoped to meet Baji again. Chang'e's statement that Baji chose the monkey over her referred to the time when Baji left her to embark on the journey to the west with Monk Tang's son Wukong and Wu Jing. When she finally reunited with Baji, he was still with a monkey, Destined One. As we know, Chang'e's wish truly came true. She reunited with Baji and even had the chance to show him their children. However, their reunion was short-lived before Chang'e drew her last breath. Chapter 4 not only tells Baji's love story, but also that of Destined One. This story can be uncovered by collecting the 4 scattered talismans. According to Cranny Mortal, it was revealed that Destined One had undergone multiple reincarnations, experiencing the same long journey over and over. In each reincarnation, Force Sister always helped him because she secretly had feelings for Destined One. In one of his past lives, Destined One even promised to marry her. This is what Cranny Mortal meant when he said that Destined One had given false hope to a woman. The talismans were placed by Cranny Mortal to ensure that the spider demons could not escape and would continue to serve their purpose. In reality, Days Master was also under the rule of Cranny Mortal. However, by the time Destined One managed to remove all 4 talismans, it was too late. Cranny Mortal had already turned Force Sister into a golden pill. The golden pill can be obtained after completing this side quest. However, some believe that Force Sister was not actually turned into a pill, but was taken hostage to prevent Destined One from taking any rash actions. If we pay close attention at the end of Chapter 4, we cannot find Force Sister anywhere. Destined One and Baji then arrived at the 5th location, the Flaming Mountains. While fighting off the Yogai, they heard a cry for help. The voice came from a fox that was hanging upside down. Soon after, 2 demons named Quick Expired and Fast Swin appeared. Even though they attacked together, Destined One still dominated the fight. After the battle, Destined One rescued the fox, which then transformed into a woman named Pink Pink. Pink Pink shared a bit about her family. She was the daughter of Bull, King, and a fox. However, her mother, the fox, was killed by Baji when she attempted to devour Monk Tang. Since then, she had lived with Bull King and his new wife. A giant Pink Pink also had a brother named Red Boy, whom she considered a kind-hearted child. However, something unexpected happened. After returning from the Kuan Yin Temple, his personality suddenly changed drastically. Now, Red Boy plans to stage a coup against Bull King and seize the 5th relic held by his father. This critical situation leaves Ping Ping with no other choice but to seek help. She begs Destined One to save her family. Meanwhile, Baji, who does not fully trust Ping Ping, gives a cricket to Destined One. Baji then leaves to take care of something, leaving Destined One alone to help save Ping Ping's family. Destined One follows Ping Ping's directions to the giant's residence, hoping that the giant will be willing to lend his fan so they can defeat Red Boy. While Destined One searches for the giant's residence, Ping Ping goes to find the giant's trusted friend to convince him. After successfully defeating the 2 guards of the giant's residence, Misty Cloud and Claude, Destined One finally arrives at the giant's home. At that moment, he transforms into a cricket and sees Ping Ping trying to persuade the giant to lend his fan. She has brought the giant's trusted friend, known as the Keeper of Flaming Mountain. Unfortunately, no matter how much Ping Ping pleads, the giant remains firm in his refusal to lend the fan. Shockingly, instead of helping Ping Ping, the Keeper of Flaming Mountain urges the giant to flee with him before what he fears most happens, the return of Sun Wukong. He even goes as far as using his power to drive Ping Ping away. But the biggest surprise comes when he attempts to grab the giant's hand. His true form is revealed. It turns out that the giant is actually Baji in disguise. Destined One also reveals himself, and together they defeat the Keeper of Flaming Mountain and Yin Yang Fish. Realizing that disaster is imminent, the Keeper of Flaming Mountain flees to an unknown destination. Destined One then reunites with Ping, who has successfully obtained the giant's fan. Without wasting any time, Ping Ping immediately uses the fan to extinguish the flames blocking their path. However, Baji, who tries to hold back the giant's iron ball, ends up falling from a great height. Ping Ping believes Baji is strong enough to survive, and since time is running out, they hurry to meet Bull King. Ping Ping asks her father to give the 5th relic to Destined One. However, to everyone's surprise, Bull King refuses, claiming that the Ping Ping before him is not his daughter. Unable to hide any longer, Ping Ping's true form is revealed. She is actually Red Boy. It turns out that from the beginning, Red Boy disguised himself as Ping Ping to deceive Destined One and steal the 5th relic from Bull King. The fan he carried was also just a trick. Bull King recognized the deception because Red Boy's display of respect felt insincere. Now, in his true form, Red Boy intends to kill Destined One and Bull King. Red Boy's hatred for Destined One actually stems from his past encounter with Sun Wukong. At that time, Sun Wukong sought to borrow the giant's fan, but Red Boy kept blocking him, leading Sun Wukong to defeat him in battle. Now, Red Boy seeks revenge on Sun Wukong by killing Destined One. However, his attempt fails once again, as Destined One successfully defeats him. After warning about Red Boy possibly resurrecting, Wukong finally removed the 5th relic from his stomach. He advised Destined One not to trust fate too much, reminding him that he always has choices in life. Unfortunately, before Destined One could obtain it, the relic was seized by Red Boy, who had survived. Red Boy used a talisman to fake his death and immediately swallowed the relic, instantly reviving Yaksha King. Baja, who had also survived, arrived to assist Destined One. Yaksha King belonged to a tribe that strongly opposed Buddha. As a result, his entire race was eradicated by Buddha. However, during the extermination, a deity named Taishang Lao Jun saved Yaksha King's soul and placed it into a giant's body. Before that, he instructed the giant to drink from the river of rebirth, which led to Red Boy being reborn as Yaksha King. Yaksha King initially dominated the fight, but in the end, Destined One defeated him. As Baja was about to kill Yaksha King, the original giant arrived and stopped him. He apologized for his son's actions and offered his fan as an apology. The giant deeply loved his son, but at the same time, he felt ashamed to kneel before Destined One. In the end, Yaksha King took his own life. Destined One finally obtained the 5th relic. Sun Wukong mourned. Chapter 5 concluded with an animation depicting the friendship between Wukong and Booking. Along with a major revelation, we were shown the continuation of the prologue, where Sun Wukong, despite his immense power, was still unable to defeat the heavenly army sent to subdue him. Bulking, who was on the side of the heavens at that time, quickly restrained the weakened Sun Wukong. At that moment, he recalled their past friendship. Hundreds of years ago, Booking and Sun Wukong were sworn brothers who rebelled against heaven together. This rebellion led Wukong to meet Erlang Shen for the first time. However, their rebellion ultimately failed. As punishment, Sun Wukong was imprisoned in Mount Huaguo for 500 years. After being freed, Wukong was assigned to guide Monk Tang on his journey to the west in search of sacred scriptures. Along the way, their path was blocked by fire, prompting Wukong to seek out Booking to borrow the giant's fan. Red Boy tried to stop him, resulting in a major conflict between Wukong and Bulking's family. The conflict led to the fragmentation of Bulking's family. Red Boy became obsessed with taking revenge on Wukong and Buddha. In the end, Booking was killed by Bajie, while Bulking suffered severe bleeding after being defeated by Wukong with the help of an immortal. After completing the journey to the west and ascending to the rank of Buddha, Sun Wukong refused to live in the heavenly court. As mentioned in the prologue, Bulking was one of the 5 heavenly warriors under Erlang Shen's command assigned to subdue Sun Wukong. After Wukong was struck down and thrown into a mountain, he still resisted and fought against the heavenly army. However, he was ultimately defeated. Before taking his last breath, Wukong told Booking that heaven would always see them as yokai who only bring chaos. It was revealed that Wukong did not divide his body into 6 relics. Instead, it was Erlang Shen who did it. Erlang Shen distributed the 5 relics to the 5 heavenly warriors who assisted him in defeating Sun Wukong. Black Bear Spirit received the Eye Relic, Yellow Wind Spirit received the Ear Relic, Yellow Bro received the Nose Relic, Taoist Master received the Tongue Relic, and Booking received the Body Relic. Destined One and Bajaj hurried to Mount Huaguo to search for the last relic. As Sun Wukong's blood was about to return, the Heavenly Court began sending warriors to stop Destined One. Destined One even encountered Supreme Spectre once again, who, at the end of the battle, attempted to knock him down from great heights. However, Destined One managed to defeat Supreme Spectre in midair, and just as he fell, Summerso Cloud came to his rescue. Summerso Cloud, sensing Sun Wukong's aura through the 5 gathered relics, carried Destined One across the vast Mount Huaguo area. There, he faced 4 different bosses and gradually acquired Sun Wukong's armor piece by piece. Defeating the Gold Armor Rhino granted him the Gold Sochi armor. Overcoming the Cloud Riding Deer rewarded him with the Lotus Cloud Reader. Enduring a fierce battle with Fengtail General earned him the Golden Fengtail Crown. When Bajaj tried to capture a locust, the insect instead entered his nose and started hurting him from within. Panicked, Bajaj instructed Destined One to enter. through his mouth and confront the locust named Emerald Arm Mantis. After defeating the creature, Destined One obtained the Tian Suilong Soaring Bracers. After equipping all of Sun Wukong's armor, Destined One followed Bajaj's directions and entered a cave behind the waterfall. There, he discovered Wukong's giant staff embedded in stone. Bajaj reminisced about his journey with Wukong before revealing that Sun Wukong had intentionally placed his staff there for his successor to wield. The staff, called Jingu Bang, shrank in size, and as Destined One pulled it, a path opened. Destined One's strength increased significantly, and his fighting style began to mirror Sun Wukong's. He easily defeated the heavenly soldiers before finally reaching the peak of Mount Huaguo, where he discovered the stone believed to house Wukong's soul. Upon entering the stone, Destined One and Bajaj found themselves aboard a boat with Old Monkey. They traveled across a vast body of water, and Old Monkey revealed that they were inside Sun Wukong's memories. The memories were filled with Wukong's life experiences, from when he was just an ordinary monkey, causing chaos in the heavens, to eventually becoming the powerful Sun Wukong. However, according to Old Monkey, Sun Wukong was always greedy. Old Monkey further explained that the 6th missing relic was Sun Wukong's mind. Since Destined One had already found the 5 relics, he had the potential to become Sun Wukong's successor. While Wukong's 5 relics had fallen into the hands of 5 heavenly warriors, the 6th relic had vanished with Wukong's death. Old Monkey's words made Bajaj realize that Sun Wukong was truly gone and could not be revived. This realization was painful for Bajaj, Wukong's longtime friend. However, according to Old Monkey, Wukong's legacy would continue through Destined One, not as the old Wukong, but as someone who carried his power and essence. Their boat eventually stopped in front of Stone Monkey, a husk left behind by Wukong, still closely tied to his shadow. If Destined One was truly meant to be Wukong's successor, he would have to defeat Stone Monkey and unite all 6 relics. Bajaj was deeply worried about Destined One, but there was nothing he could do except watch the battle that would decide everything. Destined One unleashed his full power to fight Stone Monkey. Even after defeating him once, Stone Monkey evolved, becoming stronger and incorporating multiple elements into his attacks. However, Destined One still had the upper hand in the battle. He deflected all attacks, then duplicated himself, and finally managed to weaken Stone Monkey. Unexpectedly, that was just the beginning. Stone Monkey revealed his true form, the Great Sage's broken shell, this time with a form and fighting style identical to Wukong. They engaged in an intense duel. However, in the middle of the fight, the Great Sage's broken shell suddenly restrained Destined One and seized his 5 relics, instantly returning Destined One's power to its original state. This time, both fighters unleashed their full strength. The Great Sage's broken shell even immobilized Destined One and snatched his drink. However, in the end, Destined One emerged victorious. The Great Sage's broken shell lost all the relics he had taken, and the 5 relics returned one by one to Destined One. Old Monkey spoke about the different versions of Sun Wukong's story. Some say that Sun Wukong journeyed west and ultimately attained enlightenment. Others believe that Wukong actually died during his journey west, or that he was just an ordinary monkey. Destined One collapsed, while the Great Sage's broken shell vanished, leaving behind Sun Wukong's headband. Old Monkey picked up the headband and placed it on Destined One's head. The story of Black Myth. Wukong ends with Destined One being sealed inside a stone. Many consider this the bad ending. To achieve the true ending, players must defeat 4 secret dragon bosses: Red Lung, Black Lung, Cyan Lung, and Yellow Lung. Additionally, players must complete all secrets in each chapter by undertaking various quests. Each quest presents a different boss, such as Elder Jinchi, Uban Green Cap, Martialis Dustfield, and Bisui Goldeneye Beast. After all secrets are completed, return to Denny West and enter the pagoda where Destined One meets Maitreya. Maitreya speaks of an old friend who has long awaited Destined One's arrival. He then opens the path to Mount Mei. Shortly after traversing Mount Mei, Destined One encounters Erlang Shen. Erlang Shen states that the only one capable of killing Sun Wukong is Said Wukong himself. Neither Sun Wukong nor himself have a choice. Without much conversation, they immediately engage in a fierce duel. The battle takes place not only on the ground, but also in the air, reminiscent of Erlang Shen's legendary fight against Sun Wukong in the past. During the battle, Erlang Shen smashes Destined One from the sky, causing him to crash into the ground. However, unexpectedly, Destined One withstands the attack and transforms into a giant stone monkey. Erlang Shen follows suit. Erlang admitted that this was the first time he had to exert so much power. Destined One managed to push back Erlang and the other 4 gods, known as the 4 Heavenly Kings. The 4 Heavenly Kings stepped forward to face Destined One. Despite being Outnumbered, Destined One still dominated the battle. He used the weapons of the 4 heavenly kings to take them down one by one. Impressed by Destined One's power, Erlang Shen stepped forward for the second time. He even wielded a fire element weapon to burn Destined One's body, wanting to see if Destined One was truly worthy of becoming Sun Wukong's successor. As a result, Destined One was able to absorb the fire and transform it into a new power. He used this power to strike Erlang Shen repeatedly until Erlang was completely overwhelmed. Both returned to their original forms. After one final punch from Destined One, Erlang Shen opened his eyes, and they both heard the voice and memories of Sun Wukong throughout his journey. When everything returned to normal, Destined One found himself at the mountain peak. Erlang Shen rose and admitted that Sun Wukong had won. Wukong only wanted to live freely, without the headband that constantly restrained him. Death in the mortal world became a path to freedom from the shackles of thought and desire. From that day on, Erlang Shen decided to live his life in peace. He handed his weapon to Destined One and told him that his journey had just begun. Destined One then fell from a great height and was taken back to the pagoda, where wise men were discussing fate. After going through all of this, Black Myth Wukong ends as before, with the final battle against the Great Sage's broken shell. The ending unfolds exactly the same, but just before Old Monkey places the headband on Destined One raises his head. As he opens his eyes, he gains all of Sun Wukong's memories. These memories are shown in an animated sequence, narrating Sun Wukong's entire journey, but in reverse order. From his death to the moment he first planned his rebellion against the Heavenly Court alongside his sworn brothers. In the final scene, Wukong walks through a waterfall even though he has lost all of his friends. That marks the end of Black Myth, a Wukong story. Now, let's move on to the explanation section. This discussion will focus on the main story of Black Myth, Wukong, particularly about Sun Wukong and the 6 relics that Destined One strives to collect. Past events covered in each chapter will not be discussed again, as they have already been explained in the plot breakdown for each chapter. The main theme of this game revolves around freedom. As we know, Sun Wukong wears a headband that can inflict pain on him at any time if he does something displeasing to the Heavenly Court. This headband comes from the bodyguard Vacuan Inn, and he first received it during his journey to the west with Monk Tang. Unlike the story of Journey to the West, which ends with Sun Wukong's freedom, where his headband is finally removed as he attains the title of Buddha of Features Fighting. In the game Black Myth Wukong, Sun Wukong remains bound by the same headband even after receiving the title. This is revealed when he challenges Erlang Shen to a fight in the forest. His headband suddenly reappears and starts to torment him. This realization makes Sun Wukong aware that no matter how determined he is to change, the Heavenly Court will always see him as a Yao Guai, an untrustworthy being who could cause chaos at any time. As the narrator in Chapter 2 animation says, humans and beasts, Buddhas and Yao Guai, are born with different roots. Nothing can change what has already been determined. And indeed, when Sun Wukong merely wishes to live peacefully in the mountains with his kind, the Heavenly Court immediately sees his actions as rebellion, triggering a great conflict between him and the warriors sent by the Jade Emperor. Interestingly, through the true ending, a surprising truth is revealed. If you observe closely, Erlang Shen always refers to Sun Wukong as an old friend, and even seems to respect him deeply. After their battle ends, he briefly mentions the concept of mortal death as a means to attain freedom from mental and emotional constraints. This statement implies that from the beginning, Sun Wukong and Erlang Shen were actually good friends. Say that Erlang Shen had recognized Wukong's kindness for centuries, since the time Wukong was deceived by the Jade Emperor, who assigned him the lowest rank in the Heavenly Court to keep him from causing trouble. This part is not told in the game, but is featured in the Journey to the West TV series. Erlang Shen's third eye is known as the Eye of Heaven, which allows him to perceive a person's true nature. It is also said that Erlang Shen does not favor the Jade Emperor, even though the Emperor is his own uncle. Sun Wukong grows weary. His life has always been constrained by the Heavenly Court through the headband. Thus, he collaborates with Erlang Shen to achieve the freedom he longs for. Wukong relinquishes his immortal status and convinces Erlang Shen to kill him physically. While keeping his consciousness intact, a great battle ensues, as narrated in the game's prologue. The battle between Sun Wukong and Erlang Shen is actually a premeditated scenario planned by both of them. In the end, Wukong dies at the hands of Erlang Shen, who then breaks his body into 6 different relics. Erlang Shen distributes 5 of the relics to 5 celestial warriors who aided him, while the 6th relic, containing Sun Wukong's consciousness, is kept within his third eye. Following this major event, with the help of Maitreya, Erlang Shen hides in Mount Mei, waiting for another monkey who is worthy enough to succeed Sun. Wukong dear Erlang Shen has set up a challenge with 5 powerful bosses, each holding a relic of Sun Wukong to test whether the monkey is truly worthy. Meanwhile, the Heavenly Court learns about Wukong's 6 relics, which, if reunited, could bring Sun Wukong back to life. Fearing that it would truly happen, they devised a plan to eliminate Wukong forever. The method was through All Monkey. All Monkey spread stories about the 6 Wukong relics to identify which monkey had the potential to become the next Wukong. This potential monkey was called the Destined One. He waited until the Destined One collected 5 Wukong relics before leading him into a stone and instructing him to conquer the manifestation of Sun Wukong's obsession, known as the Great Sage's Broken Shell. All Monkey explained that if the Destined One could defeat the Broken Shell, he would be worthy of inheriting Sun Wukong's legacy. However, as shown in the bare ending, the shattered Broken Shell left behind Sun Wukong's headband, which All Monkey then placed on Destined One's head. The bare ending represents the successful execution of the Heavenly Court's plan to eliminate Sun Wukong forever. Destined One, having collected the 5 Wukong relics, ultimately became bound by the same headband that had long restricted Sun Wukong's freedom. Before the game ends, we also see Destined One's aged body sealed within a stone. This ensures that Sun Wukong will never be reborn. In contrast, in the true ending, Wukong's plan unfolds as intended. After gathering the 5 Sun Wukong relics, Destined One faces Erlang Shen in the final challenge to determine whether he is worthy of bearing the name Sun Wukong. Throughout the battle, Erlang Shen mentions that he has tried to assist Destined One by preparing 5 major bosses as challenges. Furthermore, he also forged Destined One to ensure that he was truly as strong as Sun Wukong. When Destined One defeats Erlang Shen, Erlang opens his third eye and grants him the 6th relic, Sun Wukong's mind. Erlang finally fully comprehends Wukong's plan and declares that Wukong has won. With all of Sun Wukong's relics now within him, Destined One gains visions of all of Sun Wukong's memories. Just as All Monkey is about to place the headband, one of these memories reveals the pain Wukong suffered because of it. Destined One then fully realizes Wukong's grand plan for freedom. So, even though the game ends abruptly, we know that Destined One will not accept the headband from All Monkey. He will embark on his own journey as Sun Wukong. This is the life Sun Wukong longed for, a mortal existence free from all constraints. His name will always be carried on by the monkey destined to become him. That is roughly the conclusion of Black Myth Wukong. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoy our content. Thank you so much to all of you who have requested and watched this video. See you in the next one. Stay awesome.